So here we have the Epstein files. If you don't know, they've been released over the last three weeks. I think it's probably like a month now at this point. Basically, Epstein files has been released. They have been redacted, unredacted files. Some names didn't get redacted, so a lot of people are getting exposed. Some people losing their jobs or just resigning. And honestly, I love it. But then also with me loving it, I will love it even more for people to get charged. Yeah, we're gonna just see what's going on in this video. Let's see what's going on.
It only gets worse from here. We're going back into the 3 million documents. So far, we mostly covered how billionaires lied about their relationship with Epstein and or got blackmailed in the drafts, eventually killing their marriage. We talked about Howard Lutnick, how he lied about meeting Epstein, although he still denies this. And we also talked about some horrible accusations against Trump and Bill Clinton, although we were clear that they are unverified. Now, some people have responded to the release, like Elon Musk, saying that no one fought harder for the full release of the Epstein files than I did. Ironically, he claims that he knew that the playbook of the far-left propagandists and legacy media is admit nothing, deny everything, and making counter-accusations, saying he had never set foot on Epstein's creepy island or attended parties, despite the fact we saw last time that Elon was asking to be invited to the party. What day night would be the wildest party on your island? Nevertheless, I think it's an interesting point. The playbook, as we get into this much darker side of the 3.5 million files, you're gonna notice this trend is true, that everyone we're gonna talk about, basically they admit nothing, they deny everything, and then they usually make counter accusations against other people in the files. Almost no one has faced any kind of consequences for this whole thing, leading me to wonder, why is it that it seems like really only in the rest of the world has anyone faced anything? I mean, you've got the former Prince Andrew losing his title. You've got the Slovakia National Security Advisor resigning over the Epstein links. But in America, I'm really hard-pressed to think of anyone who has actually faced any kind of accountability. I think Larry Summers stepped back voluntarily, but other than that, it's hard to think of anyone who's faced any kind of justice. In fact, arguably, Ghislaine Maxwell's life is better than it was previously since these Epstein files have dropped. And what's crazy about this is that we know that the government story is false. Remember, the FBI documents showed they had 10 co-conspirators they were investigating. We also got an old draft of an indictment where they had several co-defendants with Epstein. Now, of course, we know these were never ultimately charged. This was back in 2005, but just imagine all the way back in 2005, where these charges are from, we already had evidence that Epstein was not working alone, and like, of course he's not. But now we're gonna talk a little bit about how the scheme operated. Now, to be clear, we're gonna talk in a second about the laundering of Epstein's reputation, the people who protected him this whole time. But right now, I wanna talk about how Epstein got some of these girls in the first place, because the Epstein files provide an interesting look behind the curtains. Obviously, we know Ghislaine Maxwell was helping, whether it be procure the girls, talk them into...
I think the kids, I think they should be getting paid, honestly, from the government, because when you sit here and say, oh, there aren't any other people in the files, there aren't any other people we can get charged or, bring charges up against, I think the victims, they deserve money from the government. I really, honestly, truly believe that, because if it's a lot of people in the government that they was considering charging, and then they say, oh, Epstein was alone with Ghislaine Maxwell, and then the other people, I think even with Epstein, I think one of the things that was with his charge, he didn't want anybody else charged. I think I think it was like 10 people maybe, or more than 10 people, and I think Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't a part of those 10 people, and that's the reason why she got charged or something like that. And personally, whatever that might be, I don't think anybody should get a sweetheart deal like that. Even with Epstein, he's doing a month. He doing like, I don't know what his charges exactly was. I think it was like just trafficking, but he was doing, a weekend in jail, and then he'll come out 5 days a week, another weekend in jail, come out 5 days a week, and then you got people like Tory Lanez or R. Kelly or something like that, day in, day out, waking up 5 a.m., 6 a.m., making a bed, getting 3 meals a day, only can go out there on the yard 1 hour a day, only can go out there and take a shower 1 hour a day or 30 minutes, however it might be. And then you're surrounded by pedophiles, murderers, people who did armed robbery, robbery in general, breaking and entering, whatever it might be. Any violent crimes, they a part of. Even if you graze somebody like Tory Lanez, you just graze them. You ain't shoot them, you graze them. Well, but I mean, you know, Tory Lane case kind of like, yeah, you know, maybe he did, maybe he didn't shoot him or whatever it might be. You know, I still got my suspicions on that, but you know, it is what it is. But basically, all I'm saying is Tory Lane's day in, day out, waking up in prison, 10 years straight. R. Kelly for life. And you got people like Epstein. You know, once you have enough power in the government, guess what? You can do you can go work, you can go stay on your island for 5 days a week, and then spend the rest of your time on the weekend going to jail, probably whatever jail you want. You know, whatever jail you choose to be at, and then you eating good there. And that's the sad part about this government, though.
Lane Maxwell was helping, whether it be procure the girls, talk them into stuff. But now we have emails of a different side of the scheme. It says, yesterday I spoke to Daniel Syed, who Jean-Luc...
Oh, this is the other thing, too. Any man that sits here and shit on women, I mean, you know, a woman might did you bad or whatever, stuff like that. Okay, it is what it is. But when you start saying all women are bad and you start shitting on women, and just like Peter Thiel, and you very conservative, and you shit on women, and you say women are bad, hey, you got to start looking into these men. Could these men be low-key gay? Or either they child predators and stuff like that. Like, they have some type of demon in their closet. Some type of demon in their closet. Like, or either they might murder, or they might be willing to murder a woman or something like that. It's always something. Like, you really have to look at these men. Like,
describes as a scout or recruiter of girls or women for Jeffrey Epstein. Attached to this incoming email from Brunel is the contact information he has for Syed. And then they blacked out his number and email. But digging into Jeffrey's emails with Daniel shows that he was constantly sending him links to girls. It shows Jeffrey Epstein paying Daniel 3,000 euros, which, to be clear, was the amount that was agreed to by Jean-Luc Brunel. Quote, Dominique, we will pay him 3,000 euros each month for scouting for a 6-month period. On all models we will get him, we will pay him 5% commission on their earnings. Imagine it's like baseball or it's like basketball. You're scouting for, I hate to use the word talent, but that's really what this guy was doing. He was going around the globe trying to find people for Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. According to one lawsuit, Epstein trafficked a Jane Doe to Jean-Luc Brunel many times. It describes their operation as this: many of the girls came from poor countries or impoverished backgrounds. He lured them in with a promise of making good money. Quote, Brunel has been a model scout for various modeling agencies for many years, and he was apparently able to get U.S. passports for young girls to work as models, eventually, of course, being sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it should be noted that Jean-Luc Brunel himself died in prison by hanging, and that's while he was being accused of horrible crimes related to trafficking and minors. So this guy is not a good guy. He was part of the op along with Daniel Syed, who was also scouting on behalf of Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. They had their agreement. Here's a sample of how this would work. Jeffrey Epstein asked him to take a full body shot of someone. Daniel Syed says, now she is really skinny, I will do Polaroid. Jeffrey Epstein asks for a copy of her passport and then asks, how many tickets do you want for Woody, meaning Woody Allen? He says 2. Okay, thank you. Full body if possible. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, doesn't look too happy. Comments on her body, and then he says she is very sweet. I'll skip a few of the sordid details here. They comment about her body extensively. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, I sent a request. Does she want to come out to Paris on Sunday? He says, I will invite to come. And this is basically how it worked. Daniel Syed flew around the world looking for women, sending photos to Jeffrey Epstein, who then would get copy of their passports and bring him to the States. Here's an example of this. Daniel Syed brings him a girl. They didn't redact this name, but I'm going to do it. He says, very nice, easygoing, dream to work in the United States or visit the United States working as a model in Dubai. He asks age. Daniel says 22 or 23. I forgot to ask her. She looks younger. I have her number if you want to call her. She was going to send this evening. And this happens over and over. At one point, he talks about a Thai actress. Jeffrey Epstein says he can see her on Wednesday, and then he complains that she wants to meet in a restaurant. I don't do that in New York, and then says she didn't even respond. Not nice. The point is, a lot of these girls were looking to come to the United States for one reason or another, for some kind of dream. They would ask for passports or visas, and then ultimately get sent here by this network of people who would later be accused of trafficking or other abuses. Now, to be clear, there have not been charges against Daniel Syed, and the government, remember, says they have no evidence to...
if somebody come with you with some money, they give you like $20,000, say, hey, you know what I'm saying, I just want you to do the little swirl, you know what I'm saying, but I want you to come to the United States and do the swirl on me, you know what I'm saying, and if you agree to it, I mean, it's still sex trafficking at the end of the day, but at the same time, it's just like you agree to do that shit, you know what I'm saying, but the other part is where I have a disagreement with. It's just like, if you agree that, like, all right, you know, say I'm gonna come here, like the girl be like, all right, I'm gonna come here and do a little swirl on you, and then she not, now that she's here, she can't be let go, and she can't go back to her homeland or wherever she want to go at. Then that's when it's like, all right, your ass doing a little bit too much. But Jeffrey Epstein, for knowing what he is, he probably gonna get on 22, 23, 24, 19, 18, whatever year they might be, and get them and be like, you know what, you got your little sister that's 16 years old, yeah, get her to come through. Or you got a cousin, you got a family member, you got a friend that's 16, yeah, get her to come through too. See, that's what they are doing. Like, if you heard about even the Ghislaine Maxwell case, you know, with her and Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell will go around find girls 16 years old, 17 years old, and get the 17-year-old to find girls in a school or whoever she might be cool with to come over to Jeffrey Epstein, and then, you know, give him a little massage for $500. And then that young girl will recruit more young girls, and then he would have like a whole harem. I mean, I think harem is the word, but harem of girls to, like, you know, to traffic to all the billionaires and stuff like that.
So even predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So it's a little bit bizarre to be reading about this scouting operation for Jeffrey Epstein, the way he recruited girls, and then be told, yeah, nothing to see here. Yeah, one of the scouts was like this, like, who himself in jail. But no, there's no one else here, even though there's definitely guys floating around. Even though we literally have redacted defendants in our old draft of an indictment. We have nothing to do. We can't possibly imagine doing anything. And that brings me to one of the frustrating parts of these whole files is the redactions. I mean, I know I've been over this, but it's a different thing. In the past, the files were sort of overly redacted to protect people. The problem this time is not only are a lot of people still being protected, like literally the names of the people they were going to charge, you couldn't argue those are victims, but the work was just done so sloppy that oftentimes you'll find that the DOJ has uploaded 2 documents that are functionally identical, and they redacted one but not the other, letting you see what's ultimately behind the mask, which is dumb because sometimes the thing they're redacting is Jeffrey Epstein's name. Or other times, it's somebody who clearly is not a victim, because then you see the non-redacted copy and you're like, yeah, that's clearly not a victim. So it's a little strange what they seem to have done here. Let me give you a for instance. So we have this message from somebody whose name is blacked out, and we see participants, and then we see Jeffrey Epstein is involved, right? And it says, we need to work around your 38. We need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Now, I want to know who's doing that. Who's trying to rebuild Jeffrey Epstein's image, right? Well, we go ahead, we scroll down, and we see that Jeffrey Epstein sends something. He says, in any bar where drinking age is 18, and you see the participant is once again blacked out. But underneath it, in a separate file, we see Steve Bannon, a famous political figure, is in here, and he's saying the same thing. He says, first, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Guys, why did you censor out his name? Or, like, why was that censored at all? I don't understand. And I certainly don't understand why Jeffrey Epstein's name in this one is censored. So, Jeffrey's not censored in this one, but Bannon is. And then Bannon's not censored in this one, and Epstein is. And sometimes this creates the bizarre impression that they are censoring for victim names or for some like kind of victim status or for some reason. And then you see the other file and you're like, wait, why did you do this? It's just very poorly done throughout. That's just something I wanted to comment on, is not only did they once again not fully redact things because they were sloppy, but also like victims' names got stuck in this. Like girls' names appear sometimes, and like I'm not sure, are they supposed to be redacted? Because they're redacted over here, they're not over here. I can kind of figure out who it is. It's just kind of a mess. I needed to point that out. You know, other times we have things like this, like Brock Pierce, a co-founder of Tether, also known as the biggest stable coin in the world. He sent a message to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject line Anastasia, and then it's just a bunch of redacted stuff with a few untitled JPEGs in here. And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what is this? Is he sending some illicit media? Like, what is this? Well, then we have this page where it wasn't redacted. I put that little dark square that I didn't know if this should have been redacted or not. It's like a bunch of JPEGs. Now, does that contain victims? Is Brock Pierce sending photos of victims? I don't know because of the way the government did this. But underneath, it says, the Ukraine is now my favorite country, smiley face, Brock Pierce, with the subject line, Anastasia. I don't know what to make of that. I'm just saying, the redactions, like the way they did this is not good. But now let's return to Steve Bannon and his, we're gonna crush the trafficking narrative. Because this guy, oh boy, has been revealed in the files to being like Jeffrey's right-hand PR man. I mean, this guy was filming basically a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein in order to rehabilitate his image. And some of it has actually leaked to the public. It's been interesting to watch how that's been received. But the funny thing is that originally Jeffrey Epstein's plan was to just do a YouTube video.
See, I mean, this is the reason why I say, like, some of this stuff is, like, poorly done, honestly, because, I mean, I think they should just release the whole file. And knowing them, they might even release the file with, like, child content, because I'm pretty sure somebody probably found some with some child content that was not redacted. Honestly, I know it has to be something in them files, because 3 million files, like, it had to be some type of unredacted child content in them, because at this point, like, if you look at some of the photos in there, and you know, like, it's like when you go through the files, if you actually sit there and go through the files, you don't know which one is going to be a picture, which one is going to be your email, which one is going to be a text message, which one is going to be a picture of a house or a picture of like kids. Like, you don't know. You only thing you can do is just sit there and click on one by one, one by one, one by one, one by one, and when you see them one by one, you're gonna see photos of kids laying on the ground, Jeffrey Epstein touching on them. You're gonna see photos of a grown, I don't know what age the woman might be, but women, like, he got pictures of women like in a photo frame naked. Like, I don't know, they might be kids or what, but it basically got their forehead all the way down to like their lower half and only their legs showing. Like, it's not a full redaction. It's just forehead. You can see this part right here, and then all the way down to like maybe middle of their thighs, and you can still see their knees and everything like that. Other thing is, you got another picture of a child pulling her pants down, and you can see that like the child pull her pants down to maybe like her knees or something like that, and you can still see the top of her head. And that come from me watching a video on the Epstein files. Like, I seen a video on it, and then in the video he said this was like one of the photos that they had in there. But I ain't gonna lie, it's a lot of files. I'm not going through all that shit. Like, me personally, I don't really care too much to really read the files. I really care a lot about, let's charge these people. Like, that's what I care about. Can we please charge these people? Can we please get these people, like, and when you get them charges, please don't give these people charges that's, all right, you spend a weekend in jail. What are we doing here? Please don't give them a charge at all if you just gonna give them house arrest. Don't give them a charge at all if you just gonna sit here, you do a weekend in jail, and then you spend 5 days a week at your penthouse or your mansion. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's people out here who murder people and get life in prison, but you got, I put people, pedophiles, and you got people who murder people. I mean, it's two different things, but I put them all in the same shit. If you gonna give people who are pedophile who had sex with a child, you gonna give them a weekend in jail, or if you a normal ass person like me, if somebody like a normal ass person has sex with a child, normal person, no, you ain't got no fame, maybe you middle class or you maybe you poor as fuck, You had sex with a child, you getting 10, 20 years in prison. Shit, you might not even get that. You might get 10 years in prison, honestly. Depends on if you decide to take it to trial. You take it to trial, you probably getting 10, 15. You don't take it to trial, you're gonna probably get like 5 or 6 years for that shit. And you probably get like 10 years probation, and you can't be on the internet type shit like that. I mean, I think you probably only get that shit if you have child porn on your phone or some shit like that. But just past that though, just past it. Normal ass person getting 10 to 15 years. You're not getting a weekend in jail. But with these people being billionaires and millionaires, they know a lot of shit. So if they know a lot of shit, it's a possible chance that they know a lot of shit about Donald Trump or whatever, stuff like that. And so guess what these powerful people gonna do? Hey, get the judge to give me a light sentence. Because if I get a light sentence, I'm not gonna come out and talk about all the shit that I know. Because if I come out and talk about all the shit I know, I'm gonna burn this whole damn thing down. If I burn the whole damn thing down, everybody coming with me. And a lot of people ain't gonna do that because the government. I mean, with these powerful people and stuff like that, they hold a lot of shit together. And since they hold a lot of shit together, the government don't want to sacrifice their ass. But personally, in my personal opinion, I say sacrifice their ass. Sacrifice their ass. Sacrifice their ass. Like, put them in prison. Get them up out of here. Like, because if you don't, like, now that Jeffrey Epstein gone, you think these people stop? You think the trafficking stop? You think they stopped having sex with kids? Like, you think all of this just stopped because the person who got these girls and stuff like that is gone? You think they stopped? No, these people are still doing it. Still paying people off. Had sex with a little girl? Yeah, I had sex with your daughter, but I'm gonna give you $250,000 right here. Just be quiet. Go about your business. And a lot of these victims are like that. Look at some of these victims. Like, just go look at a video on some of these victims, and you'll see it. Like, this shit disgusting what these people were doing, but I don't know. I just can't really have no sympathy on like child traffickers and shit like that. I don't know. I just can't do that shit. But if y'all like this video right here, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you go check out my Twitch, and also watch my recent video, which will be right here. And make sure you hit the subscribe button right here. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.